Hi, how are you? I'm Araba Mollazadeh and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss dilution problems and how to solve them. The equation that you need is this one. M1V1 is equal to M2V2. M stands for concentration in molarity and V stands for volume in milliliter or liter. Here the important thing is that units have to match. For example, if V1 is in milliliter, so V2 has to be in milliliter. Or if V1 is in liter, so V2 has to be in liter. Okay, let's say that we have 200 milliliter of a solution with a concentration of 2 of sodium chloride. How can we decrease the concentration of the solution? Think about it. If we have a glass of salt water solution that is very sour, how can we decrease the salinity? Of course, we can add water, for example, to the solution. And if we do this, the solution will be less concentrated. So let's say if we add 200 milliliter of water, for example, we have 400 milliliter of solution here. Is that correct? Okay, so if you double the volume, the concentration is going to be reduced of a factor of 2. So if you divide the concentration of 2m by 2, it's going to be 1. So the new concentration is 1. Okay, now what if we want to increase the concentration? One way, of course, is add more salt to the initial solution. The other way is remove solvent by evaporation, for example. Okay, let's say you leave a glass of salt water solution in a dry situation and the solvent, which is water here, starts to evaporate. When the volume reaches to half of the initial volume, here for example, it means that it reaches to 100 milliliter. The concentration here reaches to the double of the initial concentration, which means double of salinity. So here, if you get the volume down to 100 milliliter, you will have a 4m sodium chloride solution. So 200 milliliter of solution reaches to 100 milliliter of solutions, and 2m implied by 2, and we have 4m sodium chloride solution here. So the concentration is 4m. Now let's work on a few problems. Number 1, what is the concentration of a solution of KOH if 50 milliliter of a 2.5m KOH solution is diluted to a total volume of 250 milliliter? Okay, here we have our V1, which is 50 milliliter, and we have M1, which is our initial concentration, which is 2.5m. We also have our V2, which is our final volume, 250 milliliter, and We don't have M2. Okay. The equation is M1 V1 is equal to, okay, let's try this. M1 V1 is equal to M2 V2, and here we can calculate M2. M2 is equal to M1 V1 divided by V2, which is 2.5 by 50 divided by 250. And M2 is equal to 0.5 here. The answer is 0.5. Now let's make some sense of these numbers. The volume changed from, okay, let's try this one. Changed from 50 to 250. So the volume increased by a factor of 5. Yes. In a dilution problem, anytime the volume increases, the concentration will decrease. So here, the original concentration was 2.5. The new concentration is 2.5. The new concentration will be 0.5. Why? Because we have a factor here that we can use here by dividing it. We divide the initial concentration and we can reach the final concentration. Number 2, if I leave 750 milliliter of 0.5 sodium chloride solution uncovered on a windowsill and 150 milliliter of the solvent evaporates, what will the new concentration of sodium chloride solution be? Okay, here we have V1, which is 750 milliliter. We also have M1, our initial concentration, which is 0.5 M. We don't have V2 directly here, but we can calculate it. V2 is equal to 750 milliliter minus 150 milliliter that was evaporated, so we have 600 milliliter. So our V2 is 600 milliliter and we don't have our M2. Okay. The main equation is M1 V1 is equal to M2 V2. So M2 is equal to M1 V1 divided by V2. So we have M1, which is 750, we have V1, which is 0.5, and we have V2. If we calculate it, the answer will be 0.625. I suggest that you also solve this problem in the other way that I explained in problem number 1. The answer should be the same. Number 3. The concentration of a 500 milliliter of NaOH solution was increased from 0.2 m to 1 m by evaporation. What is the new volume of the solution and how much water was removed? Okay, we have our V1 here, which is equal to 500 ml. And we have our initial concentration, which is 0.2 m. We don't have V2 here, and we have M2, which is 1 m. We can use the main equation, which is M1V1 is equal to M2V2. And we can calculate V2 from here. Okay, so V2 is equal to 0.2 multiplied by 500 divided by 1. Is equal to 100 milliliter. So V2 is equal to 100 milliliter, and it is our answer for part 1. Here, if you want to use the other way, we can consider that M1 increase from 0.2 to 1 m, okay? So it multiplies by a factor of 5 here. So if we want to calculate V2 here, we can divide V1 by that factor that we calculate from this part. So we divide it by a factor of 5 here. 500 divided by 5 is equal to 100, and it is the same answer that we calculate with the other way. Okay. For the other part, how much water was removed? So the initial concentration was 500. It was V2. Now we have 100 milliliter, which is our final concentration. So what we have is 400 milliliter that evaporates. Thank you for watching this video to the end. I hope it helps you in your problems in dilution, and please subscribe to the channel for more videos. See you next time.